Yo, what's up guys, welcome back. So next match, Cross-Banlist Cup. Let's zoom in, next matchup again, we're at Group C, so one of the groups in the upper part, and as you know, those are quote-unquote pretty much the more balanced groups, right? So the first matchup, we have two decks that are very, similar, I guess. Very similar, well, I was about to say very similar format, but that's not really true. First of all, you have Twilight. Twilight on its own was, a deck during, I feel, one of the biggest tier 0 formats we've ever had, like the Teledat era. Well, this was pretty much post the Teledat era, the Twilight, Lightsworn decks, right? It's going to take on Tengu plans. Again, a deck list that's so popular that a lot of people are still voting for it. I mean, like throughout the history of this game, Tengu Plant is probably one of the Tengu Plant format, so 2011 format is probably, presumably, one of the best decks and, best formats we've ever had in this game's history, because it felt so balanced, not as in vomit your entire hand to the field, have multiple negations ready as, how Yugioh nowadays is. So Tengu Plant's going first, and the biggest gimmick of Twilight back then, it was so strong, because you weren't running any traps, so it made your opponent's Typhoons, Heavy Storm and stuff like that kinda dead cards. Instead you were running hand traps, as in Gorse, how powerful Gorse was back then. Same for Tragodia. Again, Tragodia has a couple of effects, and I was using my opponent's Tragodia against him. Again, you can copy a level from a monster in your graveyard. In this case, it's, make Tragodia level 4. You can brain control, or, permanently brain control an opponent's monster if you discard the same monster at least the same level. Right, so discard level 7, you gain control of a level 7 from your opponent, and yeah, long story short, Utopia, due to Utopia, I was able to, stall out and prevent my opponent to attack into, what is it, I believe it was a Thunder King. Thunder King is definitely very strong, prevents stuff like Charge of the Light Brigade. It doesn't prevent Solar Recharge because of the draw, Mill, and yeah, anyway, so Thunder King is pretty strong, you know how strong it is. So going second, and I decided to keep in Maxis because of this. I mean, let's say your opponent activating Charge or Recharge, milling a Wolf, or on a potential Lumina, that's definitely strong. The Twilight deck, or, Light Sworns from back in the day, 2009-ish, they, wanted to open their first turn like Lumina Garrote or something like that, to mill a lot of cards, mill Plague Spreader, mill Necro Gardener, and potentially getting some draws off of a Garrote, and then, make game next turn thanks to stuff like Beckoning Light. Beckoning Light was like a very old school trap that you had to discard your entire hand, and then add light monsters from your graveyard equal to the amount of cards discarded. So basically a couple of Lightsworn cards like Honest, Judgment Dragon, those big boss monsters. So I felt like I was kinda in control. But Maxi, again, quite of an iffy card. Dark Hole not going to help out, because again I'm so low on life points. GG Crow could definitely help me out, again potentially preventing Judgment Dragon from hitting the field. So a Charge, again a problem, Lumina is coming, and I was like, well, maybe a better play here was to Maxi, and hopefully, getting some draws. Because my set is, I believe it's a Warning, right? And again, Warning cannot be activated, sitting only at 1000 life points. And here, another Maxi, I don't think the Judgment Dragons are live, otherwise, they would have been dropped to the board. And here, this was obviously, because of the potential hand traps, go for damage first. And this was I knew this was an iffy move, a risky move. I went for Lila, mill some cards, but most importantly to secure my game next turn, if that makes sense. Because Levier is probably going to survive, right? And then, I could Reborn Plague and go from there, potentially go for a game. And I knew that if my opponent top-decked something to attack over Lila, I believe that could have given him the 4th potential Lightsworn needed. I'm not sure what my thought process was. Then again, was it Jane? Right? And that's also a one-off in Lightsworn, so that also could have been another name in the graveyard. So I'm not sure if it mattered too much. It's fine though. So game number 3, and this hand is broken. 1 for 1. Dandelion, Tengu. what do you need more? It's too much. So I'm going to, get a couple of draws. I side-decked in the Mind Crush as well. So Tengu is there, how many cards did Librarian draw me? Not sure, like 4 or 5 cards eventually. So luckily no Heavy Storm. I mean, I think I had to set those right, because of the potential normal summon, Lila, whatever, you don't want to risk that. So Heavy Storm, okay, well, that's whatever, but no Heavy, that's easy game for me. So this is a cool move. Reborn Formula Synchron, you know what's coming. Trishla hits the field, so ripping 1 card from the opponent's hand, field and graveyard. Orcus, that's an interesting card for old school Lightsworn. When Orcus is face up on the field, I think it's both players cannot target any Lightsworn monsters, and that includes the graveyard. So I guess it's cool against something like Econ or Mind Control, Brain Control. It prevents your opponent from using those cards against any Lightsworn monster. DD Crow as well. That's why it's so important. So, okay, easy GG. I mean, you cannot lose off of that ridiculous opening. So go second and no DD Crow and Lightsworns is going off. And that's, how do you say it, like a two-edged sword, right? I think that's the correct sentence. Okay, Lightsworn has a couple of, mills, charge, recharge, charge, that's all cool. But in the end phase, I'm not sure how many cards Lightsworns have in the deck left. 6 cards? Is it 6, 8? Something like that. So I was like, I think I need to stall. And this was something I talked about before, is that because Orcus is face up on the field, you can't use Lumina to, target a Lila or another Lumina in the graveyard. So I get why the Tribute Summon Tribute over Orcus, even though I'm surviving with 300 life points. And here, because you're so low on, cards left in the deck, 4, so 7 in total, because otherwise this would have been deck out. And that's the thing, right? As Lightsworn, you want to mill as many cards as possible, but like, if you can't go for game with multiple boss monsters like Chaos Sorcerer, JD, Blackluster Soldier or whatever, it's still quite iffy to mill that many cards. So those, at least that could be a potential hand trap still. We know the Necro Gardeners are there as well, so, go for damage or force out the Necro Gardeners, drop Spore just in case, because of Econ. Normal summon Lila, I did not use, well, I'm eventually going to use Econ. I was like, whatever, the Scapegoat is, going to be dead either way. Plus, because of this. Again, I don't want my opponent to go for, Goyo, but I don't think it would have mattered, because Catester is there, plus BLS. So I don't, does the deck have access to Brionek? Not sure, but again, it didn't really matter too much. So, I guess the people were right in the votes. Tengu Plants takes this one over Twilight. So next matchup, we have one of the power decks from 2012 being Insectors. It's going to take on Chainburn, the underdog in this year's tournament. So feel free to leave your predictions. Okay, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. Feel free to leave a cordial like if you enjoyed the video. Beacom signing out. Peace.